Okay. So Cassius is like, where's Antony? And Trebonius says he ran to his house stunned. Men, wives, and children stare, cry out, and run in the streets as though it were doomsday. Well, that might be a little note to make right now, right? About citizens, who's loyal to who, what was their immediate reaction? Now, you might argue, or someone could say, well, we don't necessarily know for sure if they're so upset that it's specifically Caesar that died, or if they're just so upset at the actions that happened, okay? But we could maybe definitely make a note about their reaction to it, and in a question mark put like loyalty to Caesar, like is this because they were like very upset about what happened to him? Brutus says, we'll find out soon what fate has in store for us. We all know that we'll die sometime, which is all anyone ever knows, though we try to draw out our days for as long as possible. Cassius says, why, the man who shortens his life by 20 years cuts off 20 years of worrying about death. I don't know if that's necessarily how I feel, but Brutus says, so, then death is a gift, and we are Caesar's friends. For we've done him a service by shortening his time spent fearing death. Oh, so now they're saying, oh, we did him a favor, right? Now he doesn't have to worry for 20 years about when he's going to die and what's going to happen. We did him a favor. We just cut it off quickly, and now he doesn't have that care anymore. Okay, go ahead and reason your way out, right? Hint, hint. They're doing some different kind of, like internally when you're trying to rationalize a decision that you made. Kneel, Romans, kneel, and let's wash our hands up to our elbows in Caesar's blood and smear it on our swords. Then we'll go out even to the marketplace, and waving our bloody swords over our heads, let's cry peace, freedom, and liberty. Oh my goodness. Look at that idea. He's saying, paint Caesar's blood all over ourselves and on our swords. Then they're going to go to the marketplace. The marketplace, remember, is like this huge common area, okay, where everyone goes to like buy and trade goods and sell. And they're going to wave their bloody swords in the air and say peace, freedom, and liberty. I think they have like a very warped idea of that, right? Cassius says, kneel then and wash. So they all do it, okay? The conspirators smear their hands and swords with Caesar's blood. He says, how many years from now will this heroic scene be reenacted in countries that don't even exist yet and in languages not yet known? So he's saying we did such a great thing, everyone is going to remember our deed and remember what we're doing and talk about it. Brutus says, how many times will Caesar bleed again in show, though he now lies at the base of Pompey's statue as worthless as dust? So, in show, Shakespeare's almost kind of like making a little joke, right? Because we've talked about, obviously, even though there's liberties taken with historical facts, Shakespeare is writing about something that actually happened, okay? And so he's kind of putting into like as like a little like quip, right? Shakespeare had a good sense of humor. He's saying, how many times will Caesar bleed again in show? How many times will people like write about this and like create plays from it? And then I thought this was interesting, though he now lies at the base of Pompey's statue as worthless as dust. Remember, that Caesar's wife also had a little bit of a dream, right? Regarding statues and blood. This wasn't necessarily like the exact, like perfect part of the dream, but she did have, remember, a little bit of like a premonition about this. Cassius says, as often as it's replayed, our group will be hailed as the men who gave their country liberty. Okay, well, we are reading a play right now, and I don't know about you, but I don't know if I'm really feeling like this group is a group that promoted liberty in Rome. Cassius says, well, should we go out? And Cassius says, yes, every man forward. Brutus will lead, and will follow him with the boldest and best parts of Rome. Remember, whose idea was this all from the beginning? And now who is going to be leading the march? For everyone to see who is the first face that people are going to see and maybe associate with being the leader. And then all of a sudden, Mark Antony's servant enters. Brutus says, wait a minute, who's that coming? It's a friend of Antony's. Antony's servant kneels and says, Brutus, my master ordered me to kneel like this. And he kneels and bows his head low. He ordered me to kneel low, and from the ground like this, he ordered me to say, Brutus is noble, wise, brave, and honest. Caesar was mighty, bold, royal, and loving. Antony loves Brutus and honors him. Antony feared Caesar, honored him, and loved him. Okay, so here is an interesting line, right, about Mark Antony's loyalties. Mark Antony is saying Brutus is noble, wise, brave, and honest. All of those are like positive connotations, right? And that's how Brutus feels towards, how Antony feels towards Brutus. Looking at how Antony feels towards Caesar, he was mighty, bold, royal, and loving. Antony loves Brutus and honors him. Antony feared Caesar, honored him, and loved him. Interesting that Antony, they said, feared Caesar first. But remember that when someone was in power, like back then, there was kind of this sense of like you should fear them, right? On some level. So we have to kind of find out, why is Antony saying feared first about Caesar? We need to learn a little bit more about his feelings, right? But that would definitely be like something that I would write down about him. If Brutus, so this is still Antony's servant speaking, if Brutus will swear that Antony may come to him safely and be convinced that Caesar deserved to be killed, Mark Antony will love dead Caesar not nearly as much as living Brutus. And with true faith he'll follow the destiny and affairs of noble Brutus through the difficulties of this unprecedented state of affairs. That's what my master says. Brutus says, your master is a wise and honorable Roman. I never thought any less of him. Tell him, if he comes here, I'll explain everything to him, and on my word, he'll leave unharmed. So you have to like kind of think about, do we really believe this right now? two things. I'm in my head, I would